well, why don't you go listen to Black Voices? First of all, again, not possible.
Why? Why would I want to do that? I've got it all logicked out in my head. I'm smarter than them.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at what Vaush is doing now. CIA loves Wokescolds and Tankies is what Vaush says here. So, right. So more and more you'll see Vaush and his community criticizing other people for being reactionary, for instance. He's the last person to be able to really call anybody reactionary, right? Like that is his main thing, is doing lefty politics from a reactionary framing, right? Call it the very fact that he uses the phrase Wokescolds, right? That's a Ben Shapiro talking point that he's kind of hijacked there, right? So if anybody's a reactionary, it's Vaush himself. Now he is talking about how the CIA loves Wokescolds and Tankies, when in actuality, what he's doing by his very presence on the online left is diluting the degree to which there even is any like leftism. The CIA loves anyone who believes them. Yeah, and like look, if you want to talk about somebody whose worldview is very much in line with the State Department, the U.S. State Department, that would be Irish Laddie himself. He just stumbled upon this great idea on his own.
I can only see this pattern happen like so many times, where I will say something that is essentially objectively correct, or at the very least pretty hard.
Objectively correct, okay.
Get told by thousands of people to myself. And then all the people...
Okay, so, nobody should be telling anybody to KYS. I don't support harassment.
Who are so outraged with my behavior will then like turn around and sort of either ignore that or collaboratively participate in what I can only describe as like CIA's ideal version of the online left, where no actual coalition building can be made. Here's the critical flaw. Here's the thing that these lefties will never let you do. Change a mind. It's the #1 thing political movements are meant to do, and it is the last thing this particular type of lefty wants to do. It is so far down their list of priorities, it never even comes up. The thought of convincing people who don't currently agree with you, who agree with you, is not only is it not...
The problem is you're not convincing them if all you're doing is repeating the reactionary they already believe in, saying that, by the way, I'm a lefty, like in hopes of getting more reactionaries to identify as lefties.
The priority list, they don't want it.
When he's talking about coalition building, he's talking about a coalition of white fragility.
We've seen this so many times.
He's talking about a coalition of misogyny.
How many times have we seen these excuses? Oh, we don't actually want these people in the online left. Oh, these edgy white boys, they couldn't possibly be a good leftist. Never mind the fact that like half of the people...
Look, they could be, but like you're getting in the way of that, okay? You're like encouraging them not to unpack their... You're encouraging them to believe in things like anti-white racism. You're encouraging their fragility. They could be good comrades, right? Having privilege doesn't mean that you can't be a comrade, but it does mean that there's going to be more work towards doing that, right? And what Vaush's innovation is to hold their hands and tell them, you don't have to do that work. You can hang out here. I am a lefty, and I am plenty misogynist. I am plenty racist. Casual transphobia is fine with me, right?
In the Wokescolds online community are
inculcated with white fragility. Isn't scolding people explicitly about trying to change their... Oh my god. Yeah, well, I mean, there's no scolding from Vaush, at least when it comes to, white fragility.
Domestic abusers and
which, like if you say white fragility to Vaush, the second thing out of his mouth is like, oh, are you Robin DiAngelo?
Anyway, horrible, monstrous people.
I like no work.
People interpersonally who are constantly tearing each other apart because they are performatively hyper fragile, and that obviously leads to a bunch of toxic infighting. Never mind all that, okay? These people over here, these social...
Look, when we talk about building a coalition, we're talking about all being on the same team, okay? Now, Vaush sees that in a very different way. Vaush's paradigm of bringing us onto the same team is this. People who have a problem with me, people who see racism in what I say, people who want me to unpack my shit, people who want me to do some work, right? They're getting in the way of the coalition. Coalition comes from me getting out in front, obviously, because I got the big brain takes, right? None of you marginalized people are good at advocating for yourself, so you need to shut up and sit down and let your edgy boy messiah come in and do the work for you, right? because you're cringe. And you don't know how to talk to normies because you're not normies because you're marginalized, right? There's another way that you could do it, and that's like listening to marginalized people. Now, Vaush, when he hears that, he thinks what I'm saying is like, you gotta agree with Candace Owens because she's black. No, Vaush, no. I'm not saying you should agree with Candace Owens. What I'm saying, you should listen to black people, including Candace Owens, right? But, you know, like in the sense that, like, if you're gonna talk about these issues, you need to listen to the people who have the skin in the game when it comes to these issues, right? Before you're really competent to talk about this stuff, you need to listen to somebody that's lived that experience, right? Yeah, including Candace Owens. It doesn't mean agree with Candace Owens, but it means like know the lay of the land. Know that, like, you know, like for instance, trans people aren't a monolith. Black people aren't a monolith. And with trans people, we have our own pick-me's. We have our own people that, you know, have incredibly bad takes that like kind of like, you know, do everything that they can to be useful to the people that are oppressing us in hopes that they are going to be able to negotiate a separate peace. But yeah, you do need to listen to people, right? Otherwise, your opinion is just kind of worthless, right? You don't, it's like coming to class, not doing the reading, and then trying to stand up and tell us about the book. You haven't read the book. The book is our lived experience, right? You being privileged, you know, in a million different ways doesn't mean that you're useless, doesn't mean that you can't have an opinion, but it means that you're not going to have an informed opinion without, you know, informing yourself. And informing yourself means listening. And yeah, that sometimes involves, like, you know, staying in your lane. That sometimes involves, like, you know, not coming in and just like sort of taking over people's own liberatory movements. It's taking the lead from those people. Yeah, the Candace Owens thing, he gets unlimited mileage from that. I think that even these people know on some level what it looks like for somebody that's privileged to come in and try to take over a liberatory movement, try to talk over people without even listening to them first, or you know, talk over people at all, right? When you infantilize a group of marginalized people, you're not going to build much solidarity, because we know that you aren't going to be a good leader for us, because you won't even listen, you won't even understand where we're coming from, you won't even understand what we're dealing with. You just think that you can logic it out in your big brain and tell us to shut up and sit down because you know everything, right? That kind of pedantic bullshit is what breaks movements apart. We want to build a strong movement. That movement has to be held together by a glue. That glue is called solidarity. Solidarity comes from the bottom up, not the top down. That's what Vaush and his community fail to grasp, and that is why they do more harm to the left than they do good. So yeah, there's my spiel.
Actually powerful people, you know, millions of them. We don't want them in our online left, because
listening to marginalized people just means you have the full story about that community and their lives and discourse. It's not meant to be a tug-of-war debate tactic that these debate streamers make it out to be. Yeah, and so like when you're coming from a primarily like debate sort of world, sort of sphere, sort of paradigm, like, you know, Vaush, like I said, comes from Destiny's community. The apple doesn't fall that far from the tree. Debate culture is about dominance paradigm. That is fundamentally antithetical to the project of building solidarity that we're engaged in on the left, right?
Because they're, I don't know, they're icky. We don't need these voices. They don't care about changing minds, and they certainly don't care about building power for their group. They just want a comfy social space to exist in on their way through fascism and then subsequently out the door, because that's what fascism will do to these communities and to this community. 90% of that I get in trouble for is just,
so what he's saying is that there's a great and dangerous enemy out there, and you need me to be able to fight it, all right? That's why you need to shut up and sit down. He wants to use your fear of the reactionary right as a way to silence you, right? As a way to take over your movement, right? And tell you how to run it. I think we know how to run our own liberatory movements better than this guy does, and I think that he would be better served to actually get up and sit down himself and listen, right? For once in his life, for once in his privileged asshole life, to actually like listen.
Be real. acting like a normal person.
Main
I make
character
jokes
syndrome,
that
yeah.
get me in trouble,
Just a
and
bit.
these jokes would be considered spicy on SNL, okay? We're talking like so much of the stuff that the online left gets angry at me for. And it's not to say I don't act controversial at times, and I'm fine with it. I'll defend what I say. I know that sometimes I'm even too spicy for my own good, and I walk back stuff I've said. That's fine. I don't have a problem with being that person.
Yo, I don't think it's spicy. I don't think it's I don't even think it's necessarily edginess. I think it's entitled assholery that turns people off to you, including your own community. You're worried about building your community, and to do that, you've even attempted to ingratiate yourself to the red pill, sphere, to follow Destiny's example. How about if instead of doing that, you try to hold on to the people that you have in your community by not pushing us away through this entitled bull. More and more people are onto that, Vaush, and you're leaking membership, right? That is why your community is stuck in the mud. That is why you're not growing while Destiny is, right? You could think of this in a completely different way.
What I do have a problem with is
ignorance and overconfidence.
Feeling as though the biggest things that separate me from the online left are the least radical parts of me. The fact that I'm capable of being irreverent, or that I understand there's a difference between...
See, when he's saying irreverent, this is irreverent in a right-wing sense. This is like, he means anti-PC, he means like anti-SJW. That's what Vaush essentially is a left-wing anti-SJW. Now, we do have another group that's like this, right? When we talk about, if you want to go back to like 2016 and talk about like the dirtbag left, you talk about people like Angela Nagel. I mean, like, Chapo's the name that comes to mind, but honestly, Chapo's not even that far down the pipeline as far as these things go. You've got, Chapo's just the beginning of it. You've got like Angela Nagel, Red Scare, like all that kind of shit. And you look at where that leads. You look at where those people that were reading to kill, or like kill all normies, back in the day are now. They're in like Peter Coffin's community. They're in Caleb Maupin's community. They're in Infrared Haas's community, right? In some ways, that's where Vaush is. He's like a slow motion version of this, right? It's the same tendencies that's leading him down this reactionary road, just in a slower pace.
Edgy jokes and actual reaction.
Yeah, irreverent equals racist and misogynist.
Politics. I thought everyone else got this really early on, frankly, but apparently no. Apparently that's actually a really controversial position, Uncontroversial leftist position. I imagined. Coalition building is good, changing minds is good, but those positions are anathema now in the online left. The idea that we should reach out to people is taboo. So taboo that when I said we should reach out to insecure young men, I got thousands of people telling me to myself. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. You're free to browse the quote tweets. You can't browse my DMs or emails, but those were pretty interesting too. How do you think that makes me feel? I don't mind the threats, by the way, a lot.
Do they think that they're irrelevant now, or do they still think they're important? I have no idea, because like the left as a group has rejected that kind of. The problem is that we haven't rejected this kind of, and it does lead to the same place, just on a slower, walk.
A lot of these people are literally kids. It's not like I'm actually feeling threatened. What I mind is like their mentality. It's their threats to me are less harmful to me than the dead weight they are to the left is to me. Does that make sense? The threats themselves, not a huge issue. The fact that they're the kind of person who would issue them means they're a dead weight to the online left, which means the left broadly, which means, hey, we're all kind of in this together, I thought. And man, it's just remarkable.
Vaush is the dead weight. Vaush is the massive suck on the left, right? In terms of resources, in terms of time, right? He parks your ass in that chair and gets you to believe that you're somehow involved in leftism. Vaush, I hate to break it to you, but leftism is about revolution. And you're not gonna lead a revolution from a gaming chair.
It is. The online left is unintentionally putting a huge burden on marginalized communities.
The online left isn't real, let alone the political coalition movement. It never was.
Communities on doing their own advocacy instead of easing the burden. Yeah, it also does sound a bit strange to me that like a lot of white lefties, their response to like any kind of discourse on race issues is to go like, well, why don't you go listen to Black voices? First of all, again, not possible. You can only interact with
Not possible to listen to Black voices. Amazing.
individual people. Second of all,
Not possible when you're talking over them.
why?
Why? Why would I want to do that? I've got it all logicked out in my head. I'm smarter than them.
Are you like
They
deflecting
should listen to me.
that onto Black people? Like, shouldn't we have a unified position on this? At least somewhat? I have no idea how a person could possibly argue that it's not enough to just have like the right position on something. The right position also has to be delivered.
You don't have the right position on anything because you don't have the prerequisite knowledge to even like comprehend what the right decision might be. You think that this is winning? You think that you're helping? All you are is a big ball of inertia, Vaush.
By a person
And
of the
not the
right
good kind.
demographic persuasion. And this leads to some kind of like weird
politics.
like lefty idpol min-maxing within the
Idpol,
group,
oh my god,
where
yes.
it's not enough to have certain opinions. You also have to
Oh
be
no,
the
this is
right
funny.
kind of person to issue them. I feel like it's like a JRPG where you're like swapping out like Black woman, trans person in a wheelchair, white person.
Wait a minute. And as opposed to like your video game, which is just you as the main character, like 24/7, because you're the best, you're the smartest, you're the brightest, you're the edgy boy messiah, you're our only hope, you're the one that can be in many places at once, you're the Maudib.
With autism, and like to maximize the effect of the same set of positions that they
Idpol is when you're asked to listen to Black
all
people.
have.
There are no Black voices. There are only individual Black people. Margaret Vaush Thatcher.
You know, like, oh yeah, dude. Oh, the position that racial equality is good. Okay, well that gets a minus 30% penalty when issued by a white boy. Let me toot. Okay, Black woman, perfect. All right, now it gets critical damage. Ooh, like, it's insane.
He literally thinks that he has the best takes. That's what it is.
When Huey P. Newton was asked what white people could do in support of the Black Panthers, he said they could form the White Panther Party. And you know,
Do you see how that's different than what you're doing though? Like if you'd be like going in there trying to take over the Black Panthers, like, right?
you know what they did?
Telling Huey P. Newton to shut up and like Vaush, wait, to hear that, to understand that, what did you have to do? What did you have to do? You read a quote by Huey P. Newton. Gosh, you're actually doing it there, like in a small way, right? In one instance, like that's the model that you need to follow. Do you not get the irony of this? You using Huey P. Newton as an excuse not to listen to Black people? Do you not see the what you're doing?
When leaders from North Vietnam visited the Black Panthers
Usul objects to you comparing Vaush to him. True.
and called themselves the Yellow Panthers in an act of affinity and solidarity. Couldn't do that today.
No. I mean, like, do you see that the difference there? Like, right? Like forming another organization in support, not trying to come in and take over by shouting other people down, by talking over Black people, you know, by taking over their organization. This is the opposite of what the Vaushites do. They take over every organization that does not reject them.
Cancel culture. It was welcomed and celebrated with the burning of draft cards, but I guess they should have stayed in their lane and found their own name. Yeah, perfectly said.
Wait.
The most effective civil rights activists, leaders, and movements in America.
Wait, no, like, oh my God.
American history and in world history broadly
How are you not getting this?
have always endorsed an attitude of pluralism, of coalition building, of shared identity. The idea that you can do some kind of like big progressive miracle nationwide while separating everyone to their own distinct demographic.
He did say form a parallel organization, right? He did, like, I mean, I'm sorry, but like, you know, he is trying to maintain, like, you know, the leadership, like Black leadership of his own organization. That's why why he said, like, what can you do for us, right? You know, and like maybe the answer you're expecting is like, you know, join our organization because we're not reverse racist. Come on in, white people. No, he said like, you know, start the White Panthers, right?
Groups, you know. Oh, white people.
Oh my God, he's
white
missing
people
it.
Shut up and learn over there.
So
white
you're
people,
so close
you mean
though.
The dominant power group, the largest, most powerful, most socially attained group in the country. Oh, you can't do anything. You just sit over there and let us handle things. And by us handle things, what I actually mean is us stand over here and like talk down to you and not get anything done because we're not interested in getting it.
You think that black people are trying to talk down to you, Vaush? That's rich.
The desire to manufacture a distinct
Really?
identity. Oh no, you
Really?
can't touch that term. You can't touch that phrase. That belongs to us. How is that a progressive sentiment? That is the absolute opposite of coalition building.
All right, well, if you want to see what the dead weight that's getting in the way of our progress, that's getting in the way of our liberation, that's getting in the way of our revolution is, it's right here. Here it is.
Completely mute position to hold on this issue. It is opposite. It's you can never. I remember back during 2020 when Bernie Sanders had a shot at the presidency, people on the online left.
Oh my God.
It felt like there was like a twin.
Are we literally going back to the dirtbag left? Like, are we really we're gonna do this Chapo posting right here?
Pragmatism, something maybe. But now it's gone. It's just gone now. It doesn't exist anymore. If you go online right now, the majority of the online left is reactionary and liberal in tendency. This is, by the way, fully liberal. This is 100%.
Yo, you're gonna talk about reactionaries?
100% like identity politics. There is nothing that distinguishes these takes right.
So this is a fairly old clip I'm just now seeing.
Here, from like a like Ron DeSantis. So wait, did I just say Ron DeSantis? In my head I was thinking Pete Buttigieg. My bad. Like a Pete Buttigieg, like K-Hive, just completely milquetoast Obama era liberal progressivism. There's nothing else. There's nothing even remotely radical about this. It's
okay, well, there's your daily Vaush segment. Vaush video still reactionary. It's my Patreon. I would like to thank all of my Patreons. Ooh, they are objectively better people than either you or I. Unless they are you, in which case, ooh. They get to view the videos before you, so they've already seen this and hit like and left a comment and joined and became a member and all sorts of other cool stuff. They hit the bell for notifications. If you'd like to join them in the land of tomorrow, watching videos early and all, you can sign up for my Patreon too. The link is in the description, ooh.